sorry, folks. I got very sick yesterday. Hit me like a ton of bricks, really. Up until about 2 hours before the show, I was going to do it. I tried. You can hear me now. And I feel much, much better than I did yesterday. But I can't have people stabbing me in the back trying to replace me. So I'm going to deal with that over the weekend and deal with it next week. But that's a separate issue. I support Ukraine against Russia. But for the life of me, I don't understand why Zelensky just didn't come to Washington, sign this minerals deal, and then go back to Ukraine and deal with the next phase when the next phase comes up. I've spent time behind this microphone. I've spent time on Fox. I've spent time on Blaze explaining why I feel that this minerals deal is a tremendous opportunity for the United States and a tremendous opportunity for Ukraine. Now, there are left-wing Democrats. You know, my former editor for my books, who's a left-wing radical leftist, Mitchell Ivers, keeps writing me like a stalker this stuff. You know Zelensky's right. You know this. It's not a matter of that. It's how do you get things done. And so the Democrats are just lined up. Anything Trump does, anti-Trump, Trump. They're all Trump haters, so therefore anything Trump does, they hate. But I look at this straightforwardly, and I think to myself, you got tremendous minerals. The American people elected Donald Trump, whether the Democrats, the media, and the left like it or not. This is who he is, and he had a brilliant idea on what to do with these minerals that will make Ukraine wealthy, that will make more Americans wealthy, that will have American businesses and personnel physically present in Ukraine, meaning the likelihood of any future invasion is almost nil. And I mentioned this on Saturday. Do you have that, Mr. Producer? Let's take a listen at this. Go ahead.
So I got to thinking, Donald Trump comes up with this idea. He says to Ukrainian President Zelensky, we want access to your minerals, your rare minerals. You have an enormous resource there, natural resource there, worth trillions and trillions of dollars, underdeveloped. We have spent hundreds of billions of dollars in your defense. We should figure out how to access them, how to mine them, how to use them. He didn't talk about going in there and stealing them. He didn't talk about going in there and conquering. We're not a colonial power, an imperial power. And I thought to myself, Zelensky says no. Why wouldn't he say yes? Mark, what are you talking about? Now, by the time you hear this program, maybe he'll make a U-turn and say yes and negotiate a deal. Why? I want you to think about this. With our economic might, with our ability to mine, with our business competence, especially with President Trump, can you imagine the wealth that we would create for Ukraine and for the United States? And the national security imperative this is, access to minerals we don't have or don't have much of, rather than relying on communist China. Can you imagine what communist China and Russia would think if we had this kind of an economic alliance with Ukraine, where the people of Ukraine benefit, the people of the United States benefit? It's genius, just like his Gaza plan is genius. Now, you know, when it comes to Putin versus Ukraine, I support Ukraine. Yes, I do. Putin's a bad man. He's got 1,000 nuclear missiles aimed at the United States. His jets keep buzzing our ships. He's taking over with 10 military bases, the Arctic Circle, which is one of the reasons, again, brilliant point, Donald Trump is saying, wait a minute, we need Greenland. So Donald Trump's thinking about these things. And so I'm thinking this is like a quasi-Marshall Plan, but without us just giving money, more money to Ukraine. It's a business relationship and a financial relationship that benefits both countries.
Now, I went on for quite a bit, and I went into the type of minerals we're talking about and how we would benefit from them. And I went on to how you basically have a national security presence there, because you're going to have Americans and American businesses there and American capital invested there and so forth and so on. In other words, you're going to have a very close relationship with Ukraine, Americans working next to Ukrainians. And Donald Trump liked what I said so much that he said that what I said that night and what I said the following night, Sunday night, they ought to build a museum and put those shows in the museum. That's his view. I didn't have any conversation with him in advance. I could just see how he's developing the whole process in his mind. And I'm thinking, back then, that was last Saturday. Today is Friday. Why wouldn't you grab a deal like that? This is a lifeline. Well, it doesn't have any security provisions. It doesn't have the... One step at a time, brother. One step at a time. Maybe there'll be security provisions because Europe has already said, Britain and France, that they would contribute troops and so forth and so on, which is perfectly fine. Europe can do what it wants. This president's not going to do that. But he is prepared to do something that will revitalize Ukraine, help rebuild Ukraine after a war like this. It was just, to me, such a massive opportunity. Again, as somebody who supports Ukraine against Russia and has no doubt about it. Now, what I'm hoping is, and I don't know, that Zelensky will find some way to fix this. To fix it. Because his country needs us. His people need us. And he has an opportunity here to not go the Biden way, because it's not going to happen anymore, the pouring of money into Ukraine. First of all, even if Trump wanted to do it, Congress is not going to do it. So it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Period. But this is better than that. This is better than the Marshall Plan. The Marshall Plan was the grant of money to rebuild the economies of these countries that we conquered, to make sure it wasn't like after World War II, where the victorious countries basically raped the defeated countries of all their industrial might and all the rest of it. And it contributed to the rise of Adolf Hitler and so forth. This is a brilliant idea. Shared interests, shared businesses, shared investments. And here's the deal. Ukraine hasn't really been able to exploit its natural resources. Why? Because it doesn't have the capital. It doesn't have the equipment. Right now, it doesn't have the people. We can provide that. So it creates American businesses. It improves the lot of businesses that already exist. It creates American jobs. It creates a bond between the Ukrainian people and the American people, American business and Ukrainian business. And so I'm thinking, how do you blow that? Just come to the United States, do what these presidents and prime ministers and the rest of them do, smile, shake hands, do your thing. You're going to debate, keep the debating behind closed doors. But even why do that? Why do that? It's about a minerals deal. It's not about Russia. So I think it was a missed opportunity, and I think Zelensky needs to do everything humanly possible. Look, I don't know the man. I haven't interviewed the man. But you ought to do everything humanly possible to figure out how to breathe life back into this. And so when I hear the Democrats going on and on, it's Trump's fault, it's very annoying to me. Or Lindsey Graham, who plays three sides of a two-sided game. I don't know why he's up front doing anything, quite frankly. Somehow he's always in the middle of these things, and they never turn out very good. He was for the two-state solution, still is, for the Palestinians. He's got his head way up. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia took us. Look, I bump into him. He's friendly, so forth and so on, but his foreign policy ideas are bizarre. They just are. So I just think that this was a blown opportunity, a truly blown opportunity for Zelensky and the Ukrainians. And I see Lindsey Graham's now calling on Zelensky to resign or something or other and so forth. This is what I mean. I'm not sure where he's coming from. If he resigns, he resigns. If he doesn't, I don't understand. We are colonialists or we're not colonialists. We are imperialists or we're not imperialists. We reach into other governments, we tell them what to do or we don't tell them what to do. I think the best thing that we can do now is urge Zelensky to fix it. He broke it, now fix it. He broke it, now fix it. He came to the United States. The deal was worked out according to the Treasury Secretary. That means Zelensky's relevant cabinet people, and by the way, his parliament all agreed to it. All that needed to be done was to have it signed. That's it. And he didn't do it. And he's not dealing with Biden anymore. Now, one of the positive things that's going to come out of this is the Europeans are really going to have to step it up, and I think they're going to. They're really going to have to step it up. And they're coming out today, not attacking the United States or President Trump, but talking about how they support the Ukraine. And they're talking tougher than before. They're talking about having to provide more resources than before. And so that's a good thing. I'm all for that. So my view of this is absolutely clear. This is the view I take. It's consistent with the principles I've always held. It's consistent with American security, America's economic interests. And that proposal by Trump with respect to minerals was absolute genius. And so I just build on it, hoping that it would come to fruition. And I still think it will. Believe it or not, I still think it will. Because it's still in the best interests of Ukraine and the United States. But Zelensky's going to have to be the one to get this fixed. Unfortunately, he broke it, now he has to fix it.